This will be for the con exercise, reciprocal trig ratios. So before starting this exercise, you want to be familiar with the basic trig functions. And you can remember the formula for those if you remember SO, CA, TOA. Okay, the sine of theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. The cosine of theta equals adjacent over hypotenuse. And the tan of theta equals opposite over adjacent. So there's 3 additional trig functions, but they are just the reciprocals of the original 3 trig functions. So this CSC stands for cosecant, and the cosecant is just 1 over the sine of theta. So it's basically the reciprocal of this function. So instead of opposite over hypotenuse, you can say it is hypotenuse over opposite. Okay, this SEC is abbreviation for secant, and the secant of the angle theta is just the reciprocal of the cosine. So it's 1 over the cosine of theta. So instead of adjacent over hypotenuse, it's going to be hypotenuse over adjacent. Finally, this COT stands for cotan or cotangent, and that is just the reciprocal of the tangent function. So it's 1 over the tan of theta. So instead of opposite over adjacent, you can say it is adjacent over opposite. All right, so these 3 functions are just the reciprocals of the original 3. All right, so here they want us to find the secant of an angle B and reduce the fraction answers to the lowest terms. So since we're referencing angle B, let's mark angle B first. All right, so we're looking at angle B. You want to label the sides first. Go across from angle B, and that side length is your opposite. Go across from the right angle, and that side length is your hypotenuse. And finally, the remaining side length is your adjacent. All right. And now we want to use the correct formula. We said the secant of B equals 1 over the cosine of the angle. All right. So that is going to be, if you remember, SO, CA, TOA. For cosine, it's adjacent over hypotenuse. So that's going to be 1 divided by the cosine, which is adjacent over hypotenuse. However, if you take 1 and divide by a fraction, you just take the reciprocal of that fraction. So you just flip-flop the numerator and denominator. That's going to be hypotenuse over adjacent. Okay, and that's what we said in the beginning for the secant formula. All right, so it's pretty easy. I just wrote these steps out. Hypotenuse is 26, so that's going to be H. Adjacent is 10. And they said to reduce the fraction. These are both even numbers. 26 divided by 2 is 13. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Final answer. Okay, you don't necessarily have to do all of these steps. I just wrote it out to show you. So in the box, I just write 13/5. Okay, there's no drop-down menu to make it a fraction, so you need the slash. Okay, here we're looking for the cotangent of angle A. Let's go to angle A. So label angle A, just draw the angle symbol, and label the side lengths in reference to angle A. So you go across from angle to side, and that side across from A is going to be your opposite. Across from the hypotenuse, across from the right angle, that side length is the hypotenuse, and the remaining side is your adjacent. All right, they said we're looking for the cotan of angle A. And we said in the beginning the cotan is the reciprocal of the tangent function. So it's just 1 over the tangent function. Okay? If you remember SOHCAHTOA, for the tan function, it's opposite over adjacent. So it's 1 divided by opposite over adjacent. And 1 divided by a fraction, you just take the reciprocal of that fraction. So instead of opposite over adjacent, it's going to be adjacent over opposite. Okay, adjacent is 6. Opposite is 8. And they said to reduce, these are both even. 6 divided by 2 and 8 divided by 2 is 4. Final answer. So right in the box, 3/4. Okay, here we're looking for the cosecant of angle A. Let's go to angle A and label the sides. So right here is angle A. All right, you go across from the angle you are referencing. And that side is going to be your opposite. You go across from the right angle, and that side length is your hypotenuse. And finally, the remaining side is your adjacent. Okay, they asked us for the cosecant of angle A. We said in the beginning the cosecant is the reciprocal of the sine function. So it's going to be 1 over the sine of angle A. If you remember SOHCAHTOA, the SOH, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So we have the 1 divided by, for the sine, opposite over hypotenuse. Okay, 1 divided by the fraction, you just take the reciprocal of that fraction. So instead of opposite over hypotenuse, it's going to be hypotenuse over opposite. Hypotenuse is 20. Opposite is 12. All right, these are both divisible by 4. 20 divided by 4 is 5. 12 divided by 4 is 3. So right in the box, 5/3.